The Swamp was home to one of the best games in Week 1, and it's looking like round 2 this Saturday, an SEC East showdown between Kentucky and Florida, kicking off at 7 o'clock on ESPN. Let's welcome in Josh Edwards of Cat's Paws 24/7 and Jacob Rudner from Swamp 24/7. And guys, two quarterbacks with first-round talk will be sharing the field Saturday night, Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. But let's start with the SEC Offensive Player of the Week. And Jacob, what more does Richardson need to show off Saturday?
Yeah, spectacular game for Anthony Richardson in his season opener, rushing for over 100 yards and throwing for over 150. I don't see any reason why he can't do it again. This is a spectacular athlete who does an amazing job of utilizing his legs and his arm in order to beat competition, and we saw that against such a great defense last week in Utah. He had that 45-yard rushing touchdown. Just a phenomenal play by a phenomenal athlete, and really somebody who I think is going to have a season that keeps him in the conversation for that Heisman watch. You could even keep him in the dark horse category, especially if he keeps running the way that he does, and of course has potential for the first round in the NFL draft this upcoming year.
I absolutely agree. I think Richardson is fantastic. What we saw in his opening game was nothing short of sensational. I mean, he used his legs, he used his arm. I thought there were times he tried to do a little bit too much, but that's to be expected of somebody making their first start of the season. On the other sideline, you've got Kentucky's Will Levis, who also has tremendous arm strength, also has that physicality, mobility, and size as a runner. It's going to be a very intriguing matchup because these are two of the top quarterback prospects in the 2023 NFL draft. And Levis has to let the game come to him a little bit more this week, because what we saw last week was him maybe forcing some throws into coverage, maybe locking onto his first read. I think once he grows more comfortable with this system, he's going to be able to unleash it a little bit more and targets some downfield throws to Tavion Robinson and the rest of that wide receiver room.
I am so excited about this matchup between the quarterbacks, but we got to talk about the big guys, of course. That's what makes it go. Cats gave up 4 sacks to Miami, Ohio. Florida didn't record a sack against Utah. So conversely, Florida's O-line, pretty solid. Kentucky's D-line, also pretty good. So where do you need to see the trenches improve? We'll start with Kentucky, Josh.
Well, we're going to see a little bit of a rotation shakeup this week. There's going to be a new left tackle with Kenneth Horsey moving over to that spot, replacing David Wallabaugh, the freshman. So they're hoping to get a little bit more consistency on that side. But what we saw really last week was just a miscommunication of stunts, twists into gaps. And the hope is that once you add a player with a little bit more experience, some of those issues get ironed out. But you're going to be tested this week against a very tough, physical Florida defensive line led by Gervon Dexter. It's going to be a difficult challenge, but Kentucky is optimistic that they're going to get their issues sorted out in the course of a week.
Yeah, and as far as the Florida side goes, it seemed as though Florida was not exactly totally pleased with its performance in terms of being able to pressure Cameron Rising in its opening matchup against number 7 Utah. They did not record a single sack. Still, though, I think that it was a unit that played reasonably well throughout the game. Brenton Cox, the Jack linebacker coming off the edge, won co-defensive lineman of the week in the SEC. This is a guy who is explosive and has the ability to really put pressure on quarterbacks. But I think we need to see Florida close this week and actually be able to land a couple of stats, end up on that sacks and end up on that stat sheet, and it's just going to be one of those weeks where if Florida can put pressure on the quarterback, there's no reason why it can't win this game. And on the other side of the ball, I think we need to see Florida's offensive line do exactly what it did a week ago. It paved the way for 287 rushing yards on the ground. Was a spectacular performance, did not give up a single sack. If they can do it again, it could have as much impact as it did a week ago.
We talked quarterbacks, we talked trenches, but who else or what else is going to be an X factor Saturday night? Jacob?
I think it's Ricky Pearsall, that Arizona State wide receiver transfer. He led the team in receiving yards a week ago against Utah. However, we saw him compete against a team he's familiar with. This is a guy from the Pac-12. He did great against another Pac-12 school. What does it look like, though, when Ricky Pearsall gets out of Pac-12 conference play? This is his first test against an SEC opponent, and a quality one at that. Is he going to be able to continue to lead the team in receiving yards? I think he absolutely can, but it's going to come down to how much Florida chooses to target him. He did not lead the team in targets against Utah. I think he absolutely should against Kentucky. This is a guy who is in the conversation for being the team's best wide receiver, and I think this is a great test to see really where he stands.
And for Kentucky, I think it's the running backs. We still don't have any clarity on Chris Rodriguez and his status for the upcoming week. Sam Houston State transfer Ramon Jefferson was lost for the season with a torn ACL. And Jaton McClain is a little bit dinged up himself. So you've got Cavassier Smoke, you've got Lavelle Wright, Michael Drennan. I mean, there's some guys in that room that are going to have to step up this week. And I think you're going to see more design quarterback runs from Will Levis this week. He was contained a little bit more against Miami last week, but I think there's going to be more opportunities for Florida as they work uphill and try to get deep into his rush.
Certainly going to be a fun one, a massive matchup for SEC East complications. Guys, you can check out Jacob and Josh's coverage of this game and keep up with them all season long on Cats Pause 24/7 and Swamp 24/7. Thanks, guys.